Hi everyone. Before we begin the session, I would like to introduce a few admin details for you to take note. Firstly, this session will be recorded and uploaded on the Smart Nation YouTube channel. So for those who have to leave us halfway through the session, you can still view the entire webinar on our Smart Nation YouTube channel. Secondly, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them using the Q&A button. We will address all questions at the end of the talk to minimize disruption. And lastly, if you have any feedback on today's session, do scan the QR code. We are also keen to hear ways we can improve our webinars. Also, if you want to know more about upcoming webinars, you can also scan the QR code to join the Smart Nation Ambassadors Telegram channel. We do share upcoming volunteering opportunities as well as the upcoming webinars on Smart Nation Together channel. So some of you might be new here. So Smart Nation Together is an online program developed by the Smart Nation and Digital Government Office. And this platform started in 2020 to raise awareness about how technology and our Smart Nation initiatives are transforming our neighborhood. And if you have been attending our webinar since 2020, thank you for your support. This afternoon, we have with us Kong Yuan from GovTech and Dr. Liu from Singapore General Hospital. They will share with us about artificial intelligence, what exactly this is about, how we've been using it in our daily lives, as well as a project that they are currently working on called Project Pensieve. Project Pensieve is an ongoing project since last year, and it uses AI, artificial intelligence, to detect dementia. And you can find out more at the end of this webinar on how you can play a part too. So Kong Yuan is a product manager from GovTech, Data Science and Artificial Intelligence Division. Alongside clinicians from the Singapore General Hospital, Kong Yuan works with a team of AI engineers, software developers, and user experience designers in building a solution to enable the early detection of dementia. We also have Dr. Liu, who is a senior consultant at Singapore General Hospital, a clinical associate professor at Duke NUS Medical School, and an adjunct associate professor at NUS Saw Swee Hock School of Public Health. His clinical work involves providing care to older persons with dementia and mental health issues. He's also the principal investigator of Project Pensieve. So without further ado, let me hand over to Kong Yuan to begin his sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Is everything working? Is my screen coming on?
Yeah,
Cool.
this is good. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hong Yuan, and I'm from GovTech. So, like what Kai mentioned, I am a product manager for Project Pensieve, which is a project we are working on, right, to develop a mobile application to help detect dementia. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend this webinar. I hope at the end you'll find it informative, you'll take something back from this. Now, I'm not sure how most of you got to find out about this and register. It could be from email, it could be from a friend, or you have participated in this before. But in any case, this webinar is part of a series by Smart Nation Together. And the website has links to past webinars, and you can also sign up for upcoming ones. So there's a lot of them, like showing you how to use Instagram, how to use social media, how to do shopping online. I think next week there's one on boosting your mental wellness with technology. Sounds quite interesting. So anyway, today I'll be touching on two topics, very obviously, dementia and AI. Now, I kind of want to address these two topics because I think generally there's still a stigma around dementia and mental health. And along the same lines, also generally not really understanding AI, its abilities, its limitation. So I hope through this I can help demystify and share some facts around these. So let's get started. Things first, I wonder how many of you in the audience know about GovTech. So GovTech stands for Government Technology, and it's a stat board formed under the Prime Minister's office. Now, our mission is to engineer a digital government and make lives better. And we do this a lot by co-creating government products and services with citizens as active stakeholders to sort of shape the country and shape the technology supporting the country and government. Now, maybe we'll share about some of the things GovTech has done. It'll be a bit more familiar to you. So this time last year, I think we're all still needing to use Trace Together, still need to check into Safe Entry. I know it feels so long ago, right? Well, Singapore needed a quick solution for contact tracing and managing the spread of COVID. So GovTech implemented this solution using Bluetooth to approximate the distance between between the two people through signal strength. And also our open source code, right, was published publicly to encourage co-creation of this new technology. And actually some other countries, I think Australia, Poland, Canada, actually adopted our open source version of Trace Together. So this is one of the ways GovTech supports the fight against COVID, and I'm just so glad we're in a better place now. Parking.sg was also done by GovTech. So it replaces physical coupons with an app. Parking.sg was first launched, I think, 2017, 2018. And today, I think almost everyone uses this app over parking coupons, right? Can you imagine less than 5 years ago, we're still tearing the coupons and the car park lots are always littered with the circle dots that tear off from coupons. So everything is really slowly becoming more digital. Your payment, you have PayLah, PayNow, Pay Later, your GrabPay. And that is also why digital inclusion is so important. When we develop new solutions, when we use new technology, I think it's very important to make sure to build it for everyone, make technology accessible. Like, for example, you need to have 4 languages, the font size needs to be big enough to be seen on your phones, on your tablets. The app needs to be responsive, so on and so forth. And this is especially so for government products where the user base is so broad. We need to make sure everyone can use it and uplift everyone together. Now, GovTech also built the system that powers the nationwide CDC vouchers. So to allow ease of use, right, on the citizen user side, it's super easy. You don't need to download any apps. You use it straight from the web browser. And the same technology was actually used in the vending machines that distributes the face masks, the SG Together pack. And I think this already enabled more than 20 million redemptions across 12,500 merchants and hawkers. And it's just a great way to, support our local heartland hawkers. And I'm glad that the hawker auntie and uncle so far find it very easy to use. Every time we go to hawker centers, they receive these payments easily and they get paid the next day itself. Now, SingPass, we also built SingPass, which is a trusted digital identity. So, nowadays, after you pass your driving test, you are no longer issued with a physical driving license. There's a digital version of the driving license stored within SingPass. Then, for example, if you visit SingHealth polyclinics, you can use your SingPass, for registration. You no longer need to fill in those physical forms. Then some other use cases, I can use SingPass to log in, to request a change of passport, to check your CPF balance. So SingPass allows you to access so many personal and government services. At the very least, it needs to be as secure as your physical IC, right? Now, how GovTech allows this security to be assured is that SingPass uses a range of authentication methods to make sure your identity is confirmed to be you. And one of them is the SingPass face verification. And facial recognition is just one of the technologies that's actually powered by AI. So what does AI stand for? It stands for artificial intelligence. Artificial because it is actually computers being programmed to think, to learn like humans. Like AI can perform a lot of tasks, like they can recognize objects, can make decisions, they can understand language. And of course, the computer needs to learn, right? So a major part of using AI is actually using data or pre-existing information to teach and train the AI model. It's sort of like a baby, empty slate. Then you teach the baby to recognize alphabets, you teach the baby to recognize sounds and words. And then when something new comes along, it is able to apply what it has learned to identify and recognize the object. So for example, for AI, if you show it a lot of different types of apples and pears, and at each time you tell the AI, it is an apple, it's a pear, right? It learns the features, the shape, the color, And eventually, when you present a new apple that the AI did not see before, it is able to intelligently guess that it's an apple. So that in gist, right, is really the basis of AI. Yeah, but however, there are a lot of things that AI struggle with. For example, they struggle with emotions, they struggle with common sense that we as humans take for granted. They have challenges with like being truly creative, and AI finds it very difficult to understand context without having a large amount of data. So that's some of what AI is being applied. So AI can be trained to recognize objects, right? This image that you see here is from a CCTV at Tampines. So AI can pick out the cyclists on bicycles from the pedestrians. They can gauge the direction of travel, the frequency of the use. And this is just one way to understand the bike lane and the footpath usage. And this is done to do better city planning and the transport lane design. Then you remember when the COVID pandemic first took hold, a lot of people started being very active. They start going to parks, they go cycling, jogging, exercise lah. Because cooped up in the house for too long, need to get some fresh air, right? Then the park started to become very crowded. And parks, right? So they started to use cameras and AI to count the people in the parks to understand the crowd density and then inform the public if a park or a green space was getting a bit too crowded. Now, this website that you see here is actually live and it shows you which parks have a lot of people at the time of the viewing. Now, I think if you saw in the newspaper a few weeks back during the New Year countdown, they also deployed AI-enabled cameras to gauge and manage the crowds at hotspots where people gathered to see fireworks. Now, AI also can hear, they can understand speech. We have your devices, your Alexa or Siri on your phone that can understand and also respond to you intelligently. And this is actually becoming a very useful assistive tool, There's been a lot of healthcare tools that use virtual assistant to remind and ensure the elderly take their medicine, they coordinate the care from the caregivers and healthcare personnel. And sometimes they can also detect changes in your activity and behavior patterns to pick up the health issues that are prevailing in elderly, especially for those who are staying alone or for extended periods of time. Now, subtitles is another way AI understands speech. Like, do you watch Netflix or YouTube? Some of these subtitles below, right, are actually generated by AI from the audio of the video. Talking about Netflix, you notice when you watch Netflix, YouTube, they're always recommending to you something next to watch. Then somehow whatever they're recommending is relevant to your interest. You watch before similar shows. Like if you're watching a lot of Korean shows, they recommend you more Korean shows. Then the moment you start watching one episode of BBC Earth, then all the dolphin, whale, Animal Planet all start surfacing. So one of the inherent strengths of AI is that it can recognize patterns and also after that predict the patterns, which is again useful for detecting anomalies and where behaviors are not expected. So these are generally the AI capabilities. Now, what are some examples of AI in everyday life? This is like, for example, when you go past customs, when you scan your face, you scan your eye, your iris, fingerprints, when you use your face to unlock your phone or log into SingPass, all these biometrics recognition is actually AI in play. Route mapping. When you place a GrabFood order, the AI selects the best delivery agent near you and help map the most efficient route to cover the most deliveries along the way, the fastest. And there's so much information that the AI processes in order to draw up the route, your GPS info, traffic info, some deliveries are scheduled while some are prioritized. So AI makes sense of all of this deluge of information and delivers the outcome of route mapping. It's one of the more prominent users of AI that you come in contact with in your day-to-day. Predicting, autocorrect. This has been has been here for quite a while. Learning word patterns, learning how you type and speak to predict the best next word that you have in mind. So I was messaging my colleague Jonathan right on the day I was giving a talk at Toa Payoh Library. I haven't even finished typing the word. They predicted that I was looking for the word entrance. You see, as I typed, I've reached Toa Payoh Library main E. Right, I was just typing the letter E. And how many words are there in the English dictionary that starts with E? I think according to Oxford Dictionary, there are 170,000 words in English. So easily 5,000 words begin with E, and AI managed to correctly predict instantly they was looking for the word entrance. Amazing, right, when you think about it. We now know that AI, right, can pick up and recognize patterns, for example, in text. So in your emails, the spam type of emails often have similar pattern one. The email address comes from a random, nonsensical address. The content of the email either has a very dubious attachment or asks you to click on a suspicious link or tell you they inherited a large sum of money from a rich prince somewhere. So these email apps, they use AI to recognize these weird signs, right, and classify this as spam or malicious email. It's actually very helpful. Not just through emails to spam comes, there's also a lot of scams coming in from SMSs offering you jobs or unsecured loans, or they claim to be from MOH or DBS Bank asking you about transaction, or say that you're involved in a crime, or inform you that there's a parcel stuck in customs, you need to pay money. So all these different types of scams, right? In 2021, that's last year, previous year, the victims in Singapore, they lost a combined total of $635 million to scams. It's a huge problem. So quick commercial break. So Scamfew, you see here, is one of the other apps for citizens that's developed by GovTech, and it actually uses AI, right, to detect if one of the SMS you got has suspicious content and it's probably a scam, and it notifies you or blocks or blocks the message. So far, Scamshoe has helped block more than 24,000 fraudulent phone calls, and over 5 million SMSs is being reported in the app. Now it's available on both Android and iPhone, and you can download it for free from the App Store. In fact, I think the Smart Nation Together website also has a past webinar on how to use Scamshoe, how to stay safe online, learn how to spot online scams, and really more about protecting yourself and your family. Something that is increasingly becoming a reality is self-driving cars. A lot of cars have had those lane changing alerts or proximity alerts for quite a while already. You get if the car gets too close to an obstacle, it beeps. When you veer away from your lane, it beeps. Some of the cars even have a feature that have camera, right, to recognize the street speed limit and tell you that this is the current speed limit of the road. Now, this video is shot in Singapore. It's demonstrating AI's latest self-driving technology. As you can see, the car is moving along, the steering wheel is turning by itself, the driver is not controlling the wheel. Do you think this is AI? No, this is tow truck. It's not AI self-driving. Unfortunately, I think AI for fully autonomous self-driving vehicles still have not arrived in Singapore. Okay, something more health related. How many of you participate in this National Steps Challenge by Health Promotion Board? It's a very good way to keep fit while clocking some vouchers, yeah. And now some of these fitness trackers probably has a load of sensors that, track your steps, measure your blood oxygen levels, and those are more of the base features. But wearables are getting smarter. For example, the Apple iWatch, if you sync the data to your phone's health app, you can probably get some insights on how you are doing over time. Are you on track to meeting your fitness goals? Is your heart rate getting better? Are you getting enough sleep? And some watch can also provide alerts for you to do your day-to-day activities. So, for example, you don't forget to take your medicine. And some of these wearables, right, are being designed with very smart AI-enabled capabilities. So, for example, now the Apple iWatch have fall detection. So using AI, the watch recognizes if the wearer has had a fall based on its sensors. It falls, it hits something, registers an impact, and then minimal movement after that. And it could actually help summon emergency services or call your designated contact. So healthcare is also an increasing area where AI is being used towards. I hope the first half of my talk gave a very quick introduction. It allowed you to appreciate AI's capabilities, its use in our day-to-day lives. Now, there are groups who are concerned AI will eventually replace humans and do our jobs. But really, there are similar concerns around almost every technological innovation. For example, when robots were invented, right, a lot of the manual labor was displaced. But as with most of these tools, it lowers the manual effort, it increases productivity, it uplifts the jobs, lah. But of course, it also has societal impact like inequality gap. So when technology is implemented, it needs to come with ethical, it needs to come with responsible governance and tech inclusivity. And AI is the same as well. And anyway, as with every tool that has limitations. For example, even though AI is spelled this way, it cannot love. I is the Chinese word for love. It doesn't have emotion, it doesn't have true human creativity and contextual reasoning. It will always have its limitation as a tool. So it's nothing to be afraid of, it's nothing to not embrace. Okay, I want to now move on to a topic of dementia. Now, mental wellness is another area where I think it's quite stigmatized, and it's actually quite important, I think, to address. So, going to one of the surveys, a mental health survey conducted by the Institute of Mental Health, IMH, and this was done in 2018. Approximately 14% of Singaporeans actually experience some sort of mental health condition in their lifetime. Now, despite this, the majority of these people do not seek any form of help for their mental health conditions. And even those who eventually go to a doctor, eventually seek help, they tend to do so after a very significant delay, a very long delay after the occurrence of the condition. In fact, I think in the survey, almost 80% of the individuals with mental health conditions never sought any professional help. And this kind of pattern is also observed in dementia patients as well. So mental health stigma is, I think, more prevalent in Asian countries like Singapore, and it causes the mental health disorders to be seen as something negative. It's socially discrediting behavior, so much so that it becomes a very undesirable and rejected stereotype rather than an accepted and normal one. In the same survey, twice as much people associated with mental illness, they associate this mental illness with very negative terms rather than sympathetic terms. And it led the survey respondents, right, to say that they would actually feel very embarrassed if diagnosed. So in Asian countries, in Singapore, faith and moral standing are very rooted in the culture and prominent gender roles, and it trivializes mental illness. So then this has a knock-on impact, right, on the support, on the care availability, and really the wider society. So I hope in the next half of my sharing, I can help raise some awareness and change this perception, allow you all to understand mental health, understand dementia better. Dementia, it refers to the general term for loss of cognitive functioning. It describes a group of symptoms such as memory loss, impaired judgment, confusion, behavioral changes, which are severe enough to cause an adverse change in quality of life. Like remembering things, communication, speech, your focus, or even your control of your emotions become affected to a point where it interferes with your day-to-day. Right. In Chinese, we call dementia 失智症, which directly translates to disease where there is a loss of cognition. And I just want to say that we no longer use the dated term of 老年痴呆症 or 老人痴呆症. Again, you see, we are moving away from the negative connotation. Now, quiz time. How is Alzheimer's different from dementia? Do you know? Like I mentioned, dementia is a collective and general term. Alzheimer's is but one of the many causes of dementia. In fact, the most common type of dementia, accounting for 60 to 80% of dementia cases, is Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is a progressive neurological disorder that causes the brain to atrophy or shrink. And there are also other disorders that causes dementia, such as vascular dementia, where the brain's blood supply is reduced. And actually, this also has linkages to strokes, vascular dementia. Now, I think that if anything, there are three facts that I hope we can take away. The elderly, definitely, they are more prone to dementia. However, it is not a part of normal aging. It's when the brain function gradually fails and it's actually a disease. Now, with the right treatment, the symptoms, dementia symptoms can be managed, the decline can be slowed, in fact. And this is very important to understand. Now, Singapore is experiencing a silver wave. Today, maybe 1 in 7 Singaporeans are seniors, but fast forward now, today is already 2023. So 7 years later, we will likely see 1 in 4 Singaporeans aged 65 and above. That's projected to be more than 900,000 Singaporean seniors. And you can make a guess how many seniors today have dementia. What's the percentage of the ratio? 10%. 1 in 10 seniors today have dementia. It's not an insignificant figure. If 10% of the population segment is affected, I think it's something worth recognizing. There's a common issue. It's worth normalizing it, doing something about it, build up the support functions around this disease to help those living with dementia. And this works out to be around 152,000 people in Singapore living with dementia by 2030. And what's more worrying is that dementia is affecting younger people as well, right? In Singapore, I think there are more than 100 reported cases of young onset dementia affecting people below the age of 60 every year. So in total, there are estimated maybe 3,000, 4,000 people in Singapore who are below 60 years old and have dementia. Now, the kicker to these stats, right, is 70% of dementia cases are not detected until it has progressed to more advanced stages. So there's a study that's done by Alzheimer's Society, and it has shown that more than half of the people wait for up to a year before getting help for dementia symptoms. A year. And because of this negative stigma, because of fear of confirmation of the disease, fear of not knowing, fear of the unknown, not knowing what will happen next, how to handle, how to address it. Yeah. And then there's also the lot of people, right, that think that there is no use in getting diagnosed because they know that there is no cure for dementia. And in fact, this is true because dementia is caused by different diseases. It is unlikely that there will be a single cure for dementia. And dementia involves brain damage. So researchers note that treating individuals with the dementia symptoms will not reverse the condition. That's because the brain damage that occurs is permanent. There's no way to reverse damage to brain cells. Now, some of the causes of dementia may be reversible, but at present, I think there is no cure for the common causes such as Alzheimer's or vascular dementia. But there's a silver lining. More importantly, we should understand that an early diagnosis, right, it means that the progress can be slowed down in some cases, so the person may be able to maintain their mental function for much longer. So diagnosis, right, helps people with dementia get the right treatment, get the right support. It can help them and the people close to them prepare for the future. Now, there was a study by NUS that found that caregiver feeling burdened and burnout are so common around carers of dementia patients in Singapore. And more than half of them reported very high levels of stress. And that's also contributed, right, by the financial strain. The study also estimated that the direct cost of caring for a person with dementia can be as high as 60,000 Singapore dollars a year. And I think that's also one of the reasons, right, why it's early diagnosis to allow early intervention and administering of treatment, helping manage the symptoms, make the necessary lifestyle changes to support this. And in Singapore, it's even more relevant because once you get a diagnosis, there are subsidies, there's government grants and support funds to help this. And it goes a very, very long way in helping the patients as well as their caregivers to lead this active, fulfilled life living with dementia. So perhaps I think one of the contributing factors of the limited early diagnosis is also the healthcare support, the availability and accessibility of healthcare support. Currently, the way it's done is a bit more reactive. So only when the elderly patient complains of memory problems, Then they go and see a doctor. And a lot of times, these symptoms are insidious. It creeps up on you. You forget your keys once or twice. You won't think there's dementia, so may not be able to pick up the pattern. Then at the GP, the doctor will prescribe a cognitive test. And typically, this test will take about 30 minutes to complete. It requires a certain level of literacy skills. It needs to be administered by a trained clinician, and there'll be an interview about your general health, your observations, cognitive, and language ability tests. Now, remember the wave of 900,000 seniors by 2030. Now, the number of trained personnel in the healthcare system may not be sufficient to conduct widespread dementia screening at this scale. So furthermore, this is reactive and not really proactive screening. So the earlier they picked up, right, the more could be done to manage the disease. And beyond seniors, I think there is also benefits to screen the younger population as well. And this was some of the reasons why Project Pensieve was conceived and started. Project Pensieve is a research collaboration between the Singapore General Hospital and GovTech. Pensieve is a word play on the word pen and pensieve. And those who watch or read Harry Potter would recognize that Pensieve is this magical device that let you store and retrieve memories. Therefore, I thought it was quite apt to adopt the name Pensieve. Now, the flower logo is that of a forget-me-not, and it represents remembrance. So the aim of Project Pensieve is to develop an AI-enabled app to detect early signs of dementia. So dementia is measured on a scale, and early signs of dementia may be presented as mild cognitive impairment. And we want this app to be able to pick up these patterns as well. So currently the app is being loaded on a tablet, and it's actually a series of 4 drawing tests that on average can be completed within, say, 5 minutes. And that's when AI comes in, is that we are training the AI, right, to recognize the drawings by matching drawings with diagnosis. So when we apply the AI to a drawing that someone drew, it can predict whether or not the person has dementia or early signs of dementia. Now, to do this accurately, we were hoping to get 1,000 participants to come and do the test on the tablet, but we also need to accurately diagnose their condition, whether normal cognitive, mild cognitive impaired, or living with dementia. So participants who take part will actually get a free gold standard memory screening done by a panel of trained psychiatrists. Now, the project started mid-2021 and should continue to run until the end of this year, 2023. And we already have 500 participants who have taken part. And towards the end, the project will also deliver a study report on how to scale this app nationwide. Now, this will eventually not be available freely on the App Store, as it's actually a clinical diagnostic assistance tool. It will be deployed in quite a supervised manner, meaning community volunteers or nurses or even community centers, CCs might be able to help administer it to seniors. This is an example of a very common drawing test used to detect cognitive challenges. Normally, the psychiatrist will administer such a test known as the clock drawing test. And you start to see that the more cognitively challenged patients having more difficulty drawing the clock and the hands correctly. And then the psychiatrist, among other diagnostic tools, will look at the outcome of the patient's drawing to determine the level of cognition. Now, when this test is being done on the app, right, and when AI is being applied, we can get a lot more insights from the drawings. Your things like stroke sequence, stroke hesitation, how you draw, the jitter during the actual drawing process can all be picked up. And that might flag something missed when a human looks at the final output of the drawing, which is why we are also researching on using AI to help support these diagnostic decisions. Now, throughout the conduct of the test does not depend on participants' literacy skills. It's done so much faster, 5 minutes compared to 30 minutes, and it can be administered by untrained laypersons. So hopefully this allows us to scale dementia screening proactively to high-risk and community-dwelling seniors. Actually, the goal is to keep these diagnosed patients at home or in their community for as long as possible, instead of admitting them to nursing homes and hospitals. People with dementia, they need a routine where they are familiar with to stick to, and it helps slow the rate in which their condition deteriorates. Now, on the contrary, right, those patients who get admitted to hospitals, they have this higher chance of developing a condition called delirium, which is a confusional state of mind. And they might not get to see their familiar family members or caregiver that they are used to. So when that happens, they get confused very easily, and hence they then will start having a decline in terms of their cognitive function as well. So on top of that, if they are admitted to hospitals, to warded, there's also a risk of them losing muscle mass and strength due to the prolonged bed rest. So, so in Singapore, I think there's a lot more done to support these living with dementia. There are 15 dementia-friendly communities in Singapore, and by the end of last year, all MRT stations, right, would have already been made dementia-friendly go-to points, which means there are staff equipped to help people with dementia who gets lost while commuting. This is one of the dementia-friendly neighborhoods in Yio Chu Kang. The blocks all have similar patterns, colored signages that help dementia patients recognize their way around and allows them, certain confidence and independence in their day-to-day lives. So if you're living with the elderly or are one yourself, there are some early signs of dementia. And if you notice these signs being a bit more prominent or more of these signs become applicable, there might be a chance it's early signs of dementia, and it would be useful to visit the GP and find out more. Now, research has actually shown that risk factors for heart disease and stroke, such as raised blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, smoking, they are all similar risk factors for dementia. So by modifying or changing these risk factors in midlife, right, the risk of dementia could be reduced actually by to 30%. And generally, the clinicians actually agree that what is good for your heart is good for your brain. That means you can help reduce your risk of dementia by eating a healthy, balanced diet, maintaining a healthy weight, exercising regularly, reducing your alcohol limits, stop smoking, and generally keeping your blood pressure at a very healthy level. And if you are diagnosed with dementia, there are a few ways to manage the symptoms besides medications. Some activities and lifestyle changes can actually help. For example, your home lighting could match the cycle of day and night to regulate the body's circadian rhythm. You can help declutter the home to avoid trips and falls, avoiding wavy lines, but have very contrasting colors on your walls and floors to give a sense of depth, a sense of perspective. Also very useful to start labeling the cupboards and drawers, to keep your medication and important items in designated places, like use already, put back the same place. Some of them also recommend keeping a contact list with photographs by the telephone, or use a bulletin board for reminders to a patient, to the person, or install like bed sensors to alert the carers when the patient is up and moving. So there are a lot of technology that actually helps the people living with dementia, assistive technology, such as apps or devices that reminds you of things, apps that help you socialize, keep you active and communicative, or even some devices and technology that help keeps those patients living with dementia safe, such as navigational aids or emergency contacts, or those trip and falls detection. Like I mentioned, Project Pensieve, we started this project mid-2021. The team has sat on this project, I think, quite a number of times already. We did a talk at Toa Payoh Library. We did one at Chinatown, a Digital for Life roadshow at Chinatown, where Minister Josephine Teo attended. Dr. Liu did a roadshow at the Enabling Village, and we also was interviewed on CNA 938 Radio. So I think it's been my absolute pleasure to now be able to speak to all of you through this Smart Nation Together webinar. Well, remember I mentioned we have more than 500 participants so far. We are still some ways away from our target of 1,000 participants. And I think I'd just like to take this opportunity to invite eligible seniors to take part in this memory screening test. Now, unfortunately, we are only addressing the higher risk segment, so you'll only be eligible if you are 65 years and above with either diabetes, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol. Now, it doesn't matter if you think you have dementia or if you 100% know that you are perfectly normal functioning. Really doesn't matter at all. No, normally this kind of screening, we're giving out quite a detailed screening. So normally this one will actually cost quite a bit. But if you participate in this screening here, we'll compensate you instead with an $80 voucher for your time and effort. And I think it's totally worth it. It's also sort of useful to do as a checkup lah. So if you know of anyone who falls within this criteria, you may take a photo of your screen, forward this info to them, or you may register either by scanning the QR code or WhatsApp or call the number on the screen. Okay, I think I've come to the end of my sharing. Thank you so much for being with me to the end.